the McDonald Juicy Scoop.
Hello and welcome to Juicy Scoop. Tons of hot topics to get through today. One of the things I get asked every year is, Heather, please tell me your Costco garlic mashed potato recipe. So here it goes. Go to your Costco and get the potatoes that are in a package. It's like a little package, and they're condensed in this little like rectangle square thing. And you take a couple of those and you put it in a crock pot, slow crock pot, and you add garlic and you like mix it around and you put the garlic and salt and pepper. You could add other things. You could add cheese. You could add whatever. But by putting it in a crock pot, it looks like it's homemade. It smells your house of garlic. It like seeps in, and you show up to whatever event with your homemade garlic mashed potatoes. That's the secret. Also, holidays are here, people. And if you're part of my Patreon, you know that you get a personal Christmas card from me. The thing is, you have got to make sure that you have your address and it's up to date on my Patreon app. You go to heathermcdonald.net, click on Patreon, but make sure that your address is up to date in there, because I do not want to hear you crying that you didn't get it. We sent it out towards the end of November, and then that's it. And if you're out of the country, it even takes longer for it to get to you. So we need those addresses now. And I'm telling you, I'm very, very excited about this card. I think it's going to be the hit of all hits. And so you want to get it. Okay. Let's get going. Let's follow up on the latest on the Travis Scott tragedy. He has said that he's going to refund all the Astroworld attendees, and he's canceling his Day in Vegas appearance. Well, I think it would have been canceled, but he chose not to cancel. He said he cannot perform. He's so distraught. He is also going to be paying for the victims' expenses and refunds, as well as any kind of funeral expenses. He said he'll cover the funerals. I mean, it's like you kind of wonder how does that even work, and getting a hold of him or what. But I guess he's got a team working on that. The lawsuits are starting to pile up, not just from the people who have passed, but obviously people that were hurt. That any level. I mean, even if you broke your foot because someone stepped on it, it's all swollen up in black and blue. Like, those people are going to be filing a lawsuit. Every single person that was, really negatively affected health-wise is going to file a lawsuit. And you just think about what a huge mess this is. That means that security guards might be called in for depositions. Now imagine you just worked that event one day, and now they're like, yes, you were one of the people that helped drag out my friend. We need to talk to you. This is just going to drag on for years and be a nightmare. And the reason I'm bringing that up is some people really feel he is completely dead as far as ever doing live shows again, because who is going to insure him to do a live show? When an actor is doing movies or whatnot, they have insurance, meaning if they broke their leg, if they did something and that held up the production of the movie, thank God we have insurance to cover that expense. So when an actor becomes problematic or a drug addict or whatever, their insurance gets so high, or they become no one will insure them. And that's why those certain stars like that stop getting movie deals, because the studio doesn't want to pay the insurance. So now imagine what big concert venue is going to want to pay the insurance on Travis Scott, because it isn't just this nightmare that has happened. So much more has come out that he has done. Okay, so I talked about on Tuesday about the video that's going around of how he crowd surfed at a concert a couple years ago, and a boy pulled off his shoe as a souvenir. He called him out and he told the crowd to fuck him up. And you see this kid being beaten. Eventually said, get the kid out. They lift up the kid. That kid has survived, is fine. We don't know who he is. His face is fuzzed out. In another case back in 2017, he encouraged this other kid to jump from a balcony. and said the crowd would catch him. Well, they didn't catch him, and he fell to the ground. He fell to the ground, and and then he told the security, bring him to me, I'll give him a ring. So security and people didn't get an ambulance, didn't put him on a stretcher, lifted him up. He gave him a ring, like just a ring off his finger, threw it at him. And that child is the teenager. I don't know how old he is. He's in a wheelchair, still has to use a wheelchair to get around. And his lawsuit has not been settled yet. And that was 2017. Of course, all these videos going around. This was the weirdest article that came out today from the Insider publication. An Astroworld planning document instructed staff to call dead concert goers Smurfs and not say dead or deceased over the radio. So this story is very strange, and it's a little bit confusing. I read it first as before the concert started, which was Astroworld, the people working there were told, if anybody is dead, don't refer to them on the radio as, hey, I've got a dead person here. Call them a Smurf. Call them a Smurf. I sent this to my sister, Shawn, the criminal defense attorney, and I go, is this premeditation? So they were they had a plan set in case people died at Astroworld. But then Annie read it and she said, well, is this the plan that of any kind of big venue that they call dead people Smurfs? I don't know. I find it very disturbing that there's a plan and a code word assuming that there's going to be dead people at a show. He has also, they found old tweets of Travis's from a few years ago where he's like, if you die at my show, you're a hero, and really encouraging this kind of if someone doesn't pass out I'm paraphrasing because there's been so many, but they look really bad. And there's definitely an encouragement of going hard. And if you passed out at my show, and this one kid had a bleeding eye and he featured it and said, this is amazing that this kid got a bleeding eye at my show. A very going with almost godlike thing, you worship me to the point that you will risk your own health, I think is sort of the message, and something that he really encouraged, which I think is so bizarre. I'm going to go to one of these things real quick because I saw this and I was just here's the tweet. There's a kid laying on the ground, and Travis Scott wrote, to that kid that didn't survive the rodeo, you're a hero in my book. Now, I don't think that kid died, but he looks in the photo that he posted, he died. And that was from March 13th, 2015. So, you end up on his Instagram page, him calling you a hero. You're going to jump off the balcony. You're going to go hard in the pit. You're not going to think about your own health. And I think it just all plays into the tragedy that happened. TMZ, there's been a couple of reports that afterwards they went to Dave & Buster's. Him and Drake went to Dave & Buster's, and Stormy and Kylie, and they all went to Dave & Buster's, which is a really fun place to play some games and get some burgers. TMZ reported that, so some people are saying he doesn't care, he went to Dave & Buster's after. TMZ, who a lot of people feel is very much on the side of the Kardashians in every case. They're the first ones that came out that said someone was running around the mosh pit and stabbing people with drugs, causing them to collapse. Well, we know no one could move, so how is someone running around? So I think that's pretty much been refuted, though it's not 100% sure that we know that that's not a real thing. TMZ also said, no, it's at Dave & Buster's is when he found out that there were deaths. And he did leave Dave & Buster's once he found out. People are very disappointed in his apology, where he's just rubbing his face all the time. They didn't believe that apology that he originally said. That was, I think, on Saturday night. Let's see what else was. I was going to make sure I have everything. Unfortunately, there's a 9-year-old boy that is. I don't know if he's on life support, but they said they anticipate him having to have medical care for the rest of his life. He definitely has a brain injury. He went with his father. The parents were not together. The father thought it'd be a fun bonding experience, brought his 9-year-old to the show, put his 9-year-old on his shoulders, and he says he doesn't remember what happened, but I guess he was crushed or suffocated. The dad woke up on the ground, not knowing where his 9-year-old was. They eventually found the 9-year-old at Children's Hospital. He had been trampled. I think he's going to live, but he's definitely going to have a traumatic brain injury to have to deal with. There's another girl who went with her friends and her sister. They couldn't find each other. She's on a ventilator, and her prognosis looks very bad. So, I mean, there are these weird things, that I talked about before, where people think that there is definitely a satanic connection to this event. And I have to say, the coincidences and the analogies are pretty compelling. Now, I'm not saying it is. I'm just saying what people are pointing out is interesting. One of the things is this photo that you've seen. It's the portal, which it says, "See you on the other side." And it's a big portal, like a portal to hell, as someone might think. The stage is what some would say, it's a T. It's a T so that Travis can walk out and go on either side. But from the sky, like a drone footage, it looks like a backwards cross going into the portal of hell. The shirt that he was wearing has figures which looks like coming to the other side, going to the other side, going to hell. Now, that can be a theme. That could be like, see on the other side. I mean, people say that. Doesn't mean there's a Satanist. Growing up, people thought Alice Cooper and that, and people like that. And what's Osborne's name? Ozzy Osbourne were Satanists because he'd bite off the rat's head. And they thought a lot of people like rockers and stuff were Satanists. And we know now that they're like 7-year-old men, and they're not. That was just an act. So I don't know. But this is a interesting coincidence. There's 8 flames in that was the start of his show. 8 flames. So people think, well, the flames went up at the start of the show. And this I wrote this to my son Drake, who, by the way, thank God, has no desire to go to concerts because he identifies as a 50-year-old golfer and just says, why would I go to a concert when I can just play the song I want on my iPhone? But I said, what do you think of this? It's going on all over TikTok that about the 8 flames. And he said, well, how did he know that there would be 8 deaths? I said, exactly. They're saying, because this was before, he knows because he's Satan. So it's like, that is just what people are saying. I am not saying I agree with it. I'm just saying that part is weird that there's 8, but then I hope nobody else passes, but what will it mean if somebody else does? Then the number's off. Does that theory not work anymore? It is a really bizarre thing. So here are some 8 tips to follow if you're trapped in a crushing crowd. I talked about how if you're standing, to have your forearms up against your chest to give you some air. Here are some other things. Oh, we never got it together. I'll tell you where it
might be
at the end?
It's in the middle next to the Demi Lovato picture.
Okay, you're going to have to fix this. Okay. What?
There you go.
Okay. Here are the things to do if you're in a crowd like this. Keep your eyes open for danger signs. Leave as soon as you sense the crowd is getting too dense. That's easier said than done because now you're having fun and you paid a lot of money and your best song is coming on. But you should. Stay standing and don't put a backpack on the ground. I even thought if you have a backpack, might be a good idea to put your backpack on the front of you to provide a little space between you and the person ahead of you. But don't put it on the ground because you could trip over it and you could fall. That's the reason why. Lack of oxygen is the killer in the crowd, so preserve space around your chest. Like I said, don't push, but move with the crowd. Avoid walls and solid objects because then you're really crushed if you're up against like a wall or a gate. There's no way to go. Avoid walls and solid objects. Learn to detect crowd density. If a crowd looks unsafe, look out for others. Okay, so now I'm noticing, all these other videos of how other artists have been like, hey, they keep showing all these artists saying, hey, stop doing this, stop doing that. I have to say now, if this is now going to be this extra responsibility, I'm playing devil's advocate, no pun intended but like, if I was a performer now in the wake of the Travis Scott tragedy, and I had an upcoming concert of a mosh pit type of thing that might happen ahead of me, I would say, look, I don't want to have to be policing people. Like, if this is what we're going to do, I want like 5 people on either side, like sitting on the stage, literally looking at the crowd and being my eyes and ears, and them calling and saying, stop, stop. And they can have mics and tell people, I don't know. But I would be so scared now that I would miss seeing something. And you still have to perform and like have a good time. I mean, it's hard to be a performer and then have to also worry about that. And you're thinking about your song and you want to sing great. And then you also are like, but let me make sure that everybody can breathe that's below me, that nobody's getting crushed, that nobody's getting groped, that no one's, trying to wave attention. So it's like you're almost going to have like a lot of people watching for that. And that's just an extra expense. And I'm really curious if these concerts will even be able to happen anymore. So I don't know, finally you get back out of, COVID. It's just interesting too. The 50,000 people are at a concert in Houston with no mask, and your 2-year-old has to wear a mask at preschool in LA. Like, that is, I'm just saying, it's just very weird how it's just a very peer pressure thing. It's like, I travel the country, and if everyone's wearing a mask, everyone's wearing a mask. If no one's wearing a mask, no one's wearing a mask. It's very much what people are doing around you, and it's just interesting. So, there's people are sharing about their victims. Fortnite has deleted Travis from their game. I wonder if people will remove his songs. Someone sent me that they were listening to me on Spotify, and right under was a promo for his song. So I don't know that people are going to really start not playing his songs. Where does that go? Same thing with Michael Jackson. His musical is coming, and I don't know if people are still don't want the musical because of the Neverland accusations from that documentary. I don't know where the musical of Michael Jackson stands. So, same thing with R. Kelly and, I Believe I Can Fly. And so that's now he joins those kind of artists about what to do or not. Kim defended him. She made a statement. So let's just talk about their social media, because I had predicted that they would take like a 2-week pass until Thanksgiving. I was so wrong. Okay. No. First of all, Chloe posted on her stories and on her grid yesterday and got a lot of shit for it. They said it was very much of a thirst trap. She was, did a sexy photo like she always does on the grid for no reason. Just wasn't going to let a day pass. And I thought that was wrong. Courtney posted a bunch of stuff looking cute because Megan Fox, her best friend, has a collab and had like a red coat that she was going to help her sell. And then on their stories, Chloe then shared Kim's, quote, or her saying like, we're heartbroken. We feel for Travis. We're so sorry. Chris reposted Kim's thing on her stories, and so did Chloe. Courtney did not. Courtney has not addressed it. She's continued to post about Poosh and flowers and making a cookie, everything. And Kylie has not posted anything. which is a wise choice. Not on Stories or Grid. Can you just check if Kylie hasn't today? But today was Dream's birthday, Kris Jenner's granddaughter, as well as Corey, her boyfriend's birthday. So they are posting happy birthdays to Corey.
Kylie hasn't posted
Okay,
anything.
Kylie still has not. Thank God. Kylie, if you're listening, wait till Thanksgiving to post. I'm telling you, just do not post anything. You took off all of your pregnancy with Stormy. Try it for this one. This is a good time to just reflect on really what you want to do with your life and your romance with this guy. So, I mean, that's where we are with all of this. And I think the first funeral did happen. So just keeping everybody, I just can't stop thinking about it. So it's just really, really terrible. But the main consensus is I really don't think he'll recover from this as far as doing live shows again. I don't think he'll ever do live shows again, at least. But then I say that, I don't know. Watch, 2 years from now, you'll be at a show. I don't know. It's weird. I would never let my kid go. Good thing my kids have no desire to go to a concert. Okay. All right. This was juicy. This happened a couple days ago. Everybody's talking about it. Leonardo DiCaprio was at an event, and Jeff Bezos, who's the head of Amazon, you remember his juicy divorce story and how he was having an affair with Lauren Sanchez. And Lauren Sanchez was a reporter at local LA Fox TV, like our local TV show a lot. She did a couple other, hosting gigs. She's hot. She was married to a talent agent, I think at William Morris. And they were like couple friends, and they were having an affair, and it all got found out since Jeff Bezos got divorced. And I didn't know if he was still seeing her or not. Well, he is. And people made a big deal out of it because there's this video of her with Jeff, her boyfriend now. And it's just the body language of her flirting with Leonardo DiCaprio is pretty hilarious. And she's got very large boobs, and she's just like wearing this gown with like a waist cut out, and she looks hot. Like, she's very pretty, but a little bit in like not the classiest of ways. So, but hey, she's really done it right for herself. So, and it seemed like Leonardo was not really interested in talking to her. So a lot of people were talking about that. This was another thing that happened. I saw this post from the New York Post, and it said, Camille Parker Bowles. I'm going to say Bowles. Can't stop talking about Joe Biden's long fart. Now, listen, I swore I wouldn't talk about politics, but farts are just non-political fun. Apparently, according to everybody that was there, he let out just one of those long ass farts that just goes on for so long and loud that it was like undeniable. Like, people heard it. She couldn't believe it. And, the man is 79 years old. And I've noticed with really old men, too, I've witnessed the walking farts. Have you ever had someone do a walking fart where they're just like walking and you're hearing? I remember I was at a bed with Drake, and this old man walked by, and it was just like, that is what I imagined. I think Joe Biden has the walking farts. I think it's like the movement causes the gas to come out, and it's just like one long, like, anyway, I just couldn't believe this was a headline, and I had to share. Sexiest man alive, it is Paul Rudd. And Annie, who works with me, reminded me that his parents are second cousins to each other. So people used to always be concerned that if you have a baby with your cousin, that they get a little off. Well, they could also be the sexiest man alive. I think this is a good choice. He's ageless. He's been cute since Clueless. I think they're smart to pick someone a little older because guess what? You know who buys people? people that are a little bit older. 24-year-olds are not buying the People magazine, and they're not going to buy it because of who's on it. So wise choice on that. But I honestly think if we're really talking about who is the sexiest man alive, it should be Pete Davidson. I mean, are you kidding me? Obviously, he's the sexiest man alive. A lot of people now are giving their theories of why does he get such gorgeous girls like the latest Kim Kardashian and who else? Ariana Grande and Kate Beckinsale. And what is it? And I said, I just think he's humble and charming. Basically, yeah, I think he's got a really fun, sweet personality. And obviously, I think he has a big dick. And I think he knows how to use it. But I think he's just this guy that just, is just really fun to be around. And I remember when I was talking to this, it was Jill Zarin's boyfriend, okay? And he was talking about how this, I think it was somebody he knew in his life, this woman, was married to a billionaire. They got divorced, and then she married another billionaire. And I said, I think that's so interesting that, normally, like if my mom was here, she'd be like, oh, why would someone want like not used goods, but you would think that like a billionaire guy would want like some 24-year-old supermodel, whatever. Oh, he wants a 45, divorcee with a couple kids. Like that's who he has as a second wife. And how does she score another billionaire? And he said, well, a billionaire or that type of a guy wants what someone he feels is at his level has. Like if the guy across the street has a Bentley, he wants a Bentley. So by marrying another man's ex-wife that's gorgeous and happening, it's like I have that guy's ex-wife, which is just, so I think the fact that Pete Davidson has a long line of really successful, smart, gorgeous women, it just puts him in a position to have other gorgeous, successful women say, well, he's okay for the dating. It's not like I'm picking some guy up that's, working on the street corner or whatever. Like this is, it's like almost like your stamp of approval. So anyway, he's not even on the list. I mean, some of the people, this is all the years. Because I was looking at some of them, I'm like, some of these people are dead, but these are all, yeah. JFK, I remember that was in 88. These are all these people. So this year, all the different years of people. And Paul Rudd's it, you guys. You know what? And who was it? How did they decide? It's just a bunch of people working at the magazine, and they go, who's gonna help sell the magazines? And he looks really cute and really appealing. So congrats to you, cutie pootie. Okay. Dorit Kemsley, as you know, was robbed. And I heard the statements that people thought it was fake. They thought it was a setup. And I am so glad I am on the right side of history. And I said, no, I definitely do not think that she or PK would make up a crime that involves this and police and lying to police like a Jussie Smollett. And I am correct because they have put out the Ring video, the surveillance videos, I don't know if it's Ring, of these people that came to her house and are looking around and smashed the window to get into the house. And she has shared more about the traumatic experience of how she said, please don't kill me. They said, just kill her. Don't kill me. I'll give you anything. I'm a mother of babies. I need to be here for my children. And it's just really, really awful. And when you just see how brazen they are, it makes me wonder now, I don't know if they are Bravo watchers or not. It could have just been a random house and they didn't think anyone was home. I mean, we're going to find out more, but unfortunately they're wearing hoodies. In one photo, you can kind of see the shape of one of the guy's eyes. And, but it's going to be probably very hard to find them, but I hope that they do. So, really terrifying. Okay. Oh, let me get into the latest that is happening with Sister Wives. You know I can't stop watching this weird-ass show. And this is where Cody and his 4 wives have been on TV forever. It started out with 3 wives. Mary, he had 1 child with. Then he had a second wife, Janelle, he had 6 kids with. Then he had his third wife, Christine, who he had 6 kids with. And then in like season 4 of the show, he decided to take a 4th wife named Robin. And Robin had 2 kids, but no husband anymore. And so he made Mary divorce him so that he could legally marry Robin so he could adopt her 2 kids and so that she would have health insurance and everything because she was the only wife that was young enough to give him more children, which I think she gave him 1 or 2. So you always kind of wanted to hate Robin, but she's like the nicest. She like loves the other sister wives. They have this great situation where they have 4 houses that are all equal living in a cul-de-sac in Vegas. Well, Cody decides he doesn't like Las Vegas anymore. Moves them all to this property called Coyote Pass. And for 3 seasons, we have to hear about Coyote Pass. Coyote Pass, Coyote Pass. We're gonna build our house at Coyote. And then they all fight about where they want their house to be. Then he goes, well, I want one big house. And Janelle, wife number 2, is like, I'm okay with that. Mary's like, I haven't been into this since I got catfished by a lesbian who I thought was a man. That was a big scandal. She was talking to this guy who she thought was a guy, and she was lonely because she was wife number 1. And they definitely got along the worst, she and Cody. So some fan must have written her as a man, and she was having correspondence with who she thought was a man. Turned out it was a woman. The woman sold her story to the tabloids. Mary was very embarrassed. The other girls felt betrayed. Cody was annoyed. Mary, by the way, sells LuLaRoe, the leggings. And that is her career, besides being on the show. I don't know what these women get to be on this show. I don't think they get enough because she has to sell leggings. Janelle has been living on a trailer on the Coyote Pass. They've had this property for 3 years, and they still have yet to even start to build. Imagine building a house from scratch out in the middle of nowhere. This isn't tract homes. This isn't something we can do. So they just keep putting off. So she's like, I just lived on the trailer for a while. Meanwhile, Christine was like, during COVID, I don't even know what I'm going to do. I'm just not really happy. I just want to move back to Utah. I really don't want to live in Coyote Pass. Anyway, she came out and said, we have broken up. I'm out. Wife number 3, I'm out. All my kids are older, but I still have an 11-year-old with Cody, so we'll still like talk and everything. Christine does a cameo for somebody. She used this girl as her therapist. She just was like, and the cameo went viral. And she's like, I heard you're a mom. I'm so happy you're a mom. Can I just tell you how happy I am? My God. I mean, life's great. It's simple. It's wonderful. I never knew life could be this simple. And I just basically just talked about her life with Cody. So then people got that and analyzed it and everything. And I've heard that the women are like not following her or they've muted her or whatever. But she is free and she's on a health kick. And please, I've got to get Christine on my show. I've asked you guys to write her. I have written her myself, trying to get her on Juicy Scoop. But I really just want to hear her story. But she, her aunt had said, who was on Kate Casey's show, though they're not close, said, I don't think she was ever happy, you know? And how can you be? Your wife number 3. Everybody that comes through these plural families then later on say, no, it's never happy. Oh, okay. Yes, let's bring on another wife. Well, she hated being the 3rd wife. Before they moved to the cul-de-sacs, she had to live in the basement of this one house when they first started filming the show. And she said, I hated living in that basement. I had all these kids, and I just always came third. Always came third. Well, now she's like 50 and fuck it. And she said Cody treats. She also said about Cody. She goes, "Why do I want to live on Coyote Pass where I have a dysfunctional marriage with Cody, but across the street in the other Coyote Pass house is Mary, and he has a very functional marriage with her. He only is screwing Robin, okay? He is only screwing Robin, the latest one. So Janelle, I think she just realizes this is her fate. She doesn't really want to leave, but she did get rid of her trailer, and nobody can find rental houses. Can you just please, TLC, what are you paying these women? Like, one has to sell leggings, one has to live on a trailer, another one's a realtor. Mary was going to try to have like was it Mary? One of them was going to have like an Airbnb or something. Oh, no, a bed and breakfast. Anyway, I'll be watching. I can't wait for this all to get more scoop on it. The point is, don't think a polygamous marriage is going to work. It just is not as fun as it appears to be. Oh, here she is. Yeah, Janelle says, officially moves out of the RV. So long. Being an RV. Imagine being the star of a fucking reality show for like 9 years, and you had to live on an RV on Coyote Pass, which I assume there's coyotes there. Why would you call it Coyote Pass? As wife number 2. God. All right. This was pretty juicy. Well, we're all ready for Sex and the City, for the show to come back. And they're filming that. People are catching them all over New York, walking around. And they're getting a lot of shit because people are like, wow, look at them. They're letting their hair go gray. I mean, I think Sarah Jessica Parker and Cynthia Nixon does not have the red hair anymore. She has gray hair. And they're mid-50s. They're like 56, right? And Sarah Jessica Parker was on the cover of Vogue. She looks gorgeous. She said, is not here for the misogynistic ageism. She's like, why is everyone freaking out? And she brought up a lot of good points. If you get a lot of face work done, people say, oh my God, what's wrong with you? You got so much, work done. Or when I see sometimes clickbaits that are like, Kate Jackson, you won't believe what she looks like now. Kate Jackson was in Charlie's Angels, which was in the 70s. Is she expected to look like she did when she had 1970s trousers on and a crop top when I was 6 years old and she was 25? Is that what you're supposed to? It's so stupid. Anyway, here's the thing though. This is kind of interesting because one of the things I found so interesting about why Kim Cattrall did not want to do a Sex and the City 3 movie and why she was annoyed is because she said Sex and the City 1 and 2 she felt such incredible ageism in those scripts, and she knew that Sarah Jessica Parker had a hand in that script. And if you remember, Sex and the City 1 was all about her turning 50, okay? The final scene is her having her 50th birthday because the other girls hadn't turned 50 yet. They were like mid-40s. I just hate that. Like, really? You're right behind me, bitch. So Kim Cattrall was like, so the whole thing was, do you remember that? And she comes and she's like, surprise! And they're like, what happened to your stomach? And they zoom in because she's 50. And she's not having as much sex as she wants. She had a tiny little poochy stomach. And they're like, oh, what's going on, Kim? I can't believe it. She's like, God, if I could have a little more sex, I wouldn't have this pooch. My neighbor, if only he could go down on me. I just eat guacamole by the beach every day. So that annoyed her. Then she signs up for Sex and the City 2, where they go to Dubai. No, Abu Dhabi. They go to Abu Dhabi, which is the geekiest show ever, geekiest movie, where Miranda's like, Abu Dhabi! I'm so excited to be in Abu Dhabi. And then, Kim is like, Abu Dhabi and my punani. Give me some of that hummus and let me put on my clit. My hormones are out of control since I'm going through menopause, since I'm so much older than you. Like, it was all about how she had to bring her hormones and everything to Abu Dhabi because she's so much older than the other girls. What is she going to do if she can't get wet anymore and fuck a photographer in the sand dunes? So I just think it's a bit of, if I was Kim Cattrall, I'd be like, you like it now? Really? You like it? You like how everyone is treating you like shit? Well, you should have remembered that, okay, when everyone made such a big deal that I was, 4.5 years older than you bitches. Anyway, she actually might come back to the show. The word on the street is they did not kill off Kim Cattrall. Smart. They made her that she was Sarah Jessica Parker's publicist. This is just the word on the street of the rumors. And she fired Kim Cattrall, and therefore they had a falling out. I think that's a great idea. I think it totally makes sense. And I think when you have a really, really long friendship, sometimes people have a falling out forever. Sometimes they have a falling out for a couple years. Sometimes it's, until something brings them back together. Sometimes a tragedy, sometimes something great. I don't know. But that makes sense. They also say that there's, a lot of scenes with her and Big. There's also a funeral scene. Does Big die? Which is what I've been saying. If there was ever going to be Sex and City 3, Big has to die so that, Sarah Jessica Parker could, how am I going to, I don't know how to swipe right. Funny how when you, in this day and age of, sexy silvers, looking for guys, I don't know. But it could be that they're just he is dead and they're doing a lot of flashbacks. So regardless, I'm really excited about it. But she's not having it. And guess what, people? People age. So there you go. I just want to talk about this latest thing that I discovered over the weekend. Rachel and Dave Hollis. Let me explain who these people are. I've talked about Rachel Hollis before. Rachel Hollis was this woman, and she had like a decent blogging career going on. And she was a mother with like 3 kids. And she took a really pretty flattering photo of herself in a bikini on the beach. And she posted like, yes, I'm going to show off these stretch marks. And she was kind of the first person that like, she may have even like hashtagged it, but like about body positivity. And she's like, these stretch marks are here because they birthed children and they walked miles and, all this stuff. And like within a day, she had 400,000 likes and a book deal. Okay. And they're like, oh my God, you're so inspiring. You're right. Show your stretch marks in this. I was like, it looks pretty good. And I remember right after that, I did a post of my hands, which are always been kind of veiny. And I'm like, don't talk to me about my hands. These hands have written books and they've bottle-fed babies and they've, done whatever. And like 5 people got the joke. And they're like, yeah, well, your hands do look old, but maybe you can fill them or something. And I was like, no, I was parroting stupid Rachel Hollis's bikini photo. Anyway, she went on to build an empire with her husband, Dave. And Dave quit his job at Disney and they hired a bunch of people. And she got 3 book deals, which were Girl, Wash Your Face, what was the other one? Girl, Wash Your Face, Girl, Stop Crying or something. And then Girl, I Didn't See This Coming, which was when she got divorced. Actually, it's just, I didn't see this coming, but I thought she should say, Girl, I Didn't See This Coming. And they were just like, and then she started, and then when everyone became,
Stop apologizing.
Girl, Stop Apologizing. And meanwhile, between Girl, Stop Apologizing and I Didn't See This One Coming, she started to get some backlash because that's when everybody started to really embrace body positivity and not dieting and, everything. And they looked closer at these books that they all loved where she was critical of people that ate junk food. And they're like, well, she's not body positivity, whatever. And I picked up the book the other day and it was just like, hey, wake up an hour earlier and drink a lot of water. Like these are things that'll just help your life. I'm sure there's more to it. But anyway, they did a lot of like, they weren't, neither of them had done any kind of like, therapy. I mean, they weren't therapists. They weren't psychiatrists, psychologists. They weren't marriage counselors. But kind of like a Tony Robbins, they just took a lot of information and really kind of Christian preaching, like in putting it in like today's terms. And I think people that are Christians sort of gravitate towards that kind of preaching because they're like, why does this sound familiar? And it kind of does. So they sort of, and they'd have these big, 3-day seminars, $1,700 a person. And for $2,700 a person, you can do this and get ready. And she sold these journals that were just blank pieces of paper for like $27 that you could get at Target. And you're supposed to wake up every day an hour earlier and drink a lot of water and write about how your life is going to change. So people started to kind of go, Then she had that moment where she had just gotten her eyebrows tattooed, or what do you call it when people get their eyebrows done? Her eyebrows were microbladed, and they're, when someone gets their eyebrows microbladed, it's like just absolutely terrifying. It's like there's redness around it, and they're just like two black things, and you're like, shit, maybe you need to like let that tone down a minute before you go out. Well, she had just had that happen, and I think she was, not in a great mood. And someone said, you're not relatable because of your, because of the fact that you have a housekeeper. And then she did this video where she's talking to the camera, and it was just really scary with the eyebrows. And she was like, damn right, I'm not relatable. I don't want to be relatable. If I'm unrelatable. All the greatest women in the world are unrelatable. And she like compared herself to Harriet Tubman and just totally. So everyone's like, you're done. And meanwhile, it was COVID. So she was trying to have her seminars, but like streaming it, and it wasn't selling well. They get divorced, and that was a big, like, what? Because they made all this money as doing they said, we don't want just an okay marriage. We don't want just a great marriage. We want an extraordinary marriage. And we're going to teach you how to have an extraordinary marriage, how to become incredible entrepreneurs, and have a wonderful family. Well, they end up getting divorced. And so their podcast and all that stuff goes away, and their seminars. And he goes and falls in love with another life coaching, blogging type of girl who's divorced with 4 kids from 2 different dads. And he writes this book, and it's called like The Courage Within or something. And he does a Instagram live for 2 hours that has since been taken down, but thank God someone saved it and put it on YouTube. And he's like, I'm waking up. This is my porch of peace or whatever. He sits out and looks out at like a lake or a pool or something. And he is furious because nobody is buying this dumb book. And it's $18. And he's screaming at his Instagram followers. He's like, I have 400,000 Instagram followers. How have so few of you bought a book? You know what? You get this content for free. So the least thing you could do is buy this book for $18. And what are you going to say? People are writing, I lost my job. I don't care that you don't have a job. If you bought this book, you'd probably have a job. Because I am telling you, this book will change your life. You will start working. You will start improving your life. Just buy it, man. Just buy it. It's only $18. It's only $18, okay? You have enjoyed this content for free on Instagram. I'm like, really? You don't think the people following you are following 200 other people? What the fuck? It was, then the little girl comes out and he's like, I'm going to teach you. Meanwhile, it was so funny because he's like, this book's going to show you how to be a better parent. And the little girl's like, can I have breakfast? And he's like, really? Selfish? No, I'm not making you pancakes. Go in the jacuzzi. By yourself? He tells us a 4-year-old to go in the jacuzzi by herself. Then the kid comes out in his Halloween costume, and the little girl gets scared, and he's like, again, can I listen? I'm going to do a program. I'm doing it for free anyway, but actually I really shouldn't, but I am. So the least you could do is buy this book for $18. $18. I have put my heart, I put my soul every day I got up and wrote this book. Thinking about you guys. You who have not paid the $18. And for the next 40 days, I have a pamphlet here that we're going to do little lessons every day from the book. But you know what? You're not going to get as much out of it unless you buy my book for $18. It was amazing. So, anyway, I really enjoy how they have, people are starting to realize what assholes they are and how entitled they are. And why would you be taking Dave Hollis's parenting, romance, and life advice? I mean, really? Let's be Dave Hollis. Okay. What a dick. All right, let's see what else. Speaking of dicks, Themi Gelato. She has her own little dick. She has created her own vibrator, introducing the Debbie wand. I wanted to create my own sex toy to take the stigma away from pleasure and to take your sexual relationships to the next level. Again, did she lose her vocal cords? Can she sing? Why are we watching shows about her being an alien and selling, what is going on here? Why does she have a mullet? Why is she selling a vibrator? And she also says that she would absolutely consider dating an extraterrestrial. Remember, she also said that, you're never to use the word alien. They're called extraterrestrials. She's down to, be fingered by E.T. He's got one long finger, so it's obviously great. Maybe she can go on Drew Barrymore and talk about that with her since they know each other. Drew and E.T., obviously. But if she gets with E.T., does she need her wand anymore? I don't know. Whatever, we're talking about her. She is friends with Paris. So I assume she might be at Paris Hilton's wedding, which is happening tonight, Thursday night, at her house. It's a 3-day event. First, she gets married at the house. It's getting filmed by Peacock. It's called Paris in Love. And all the housewives, Real Housewives, will be there. And it's going, that's going to be the ceremony. And then there's like 2 other super fun events. There's a neon party at the Santa Monica Pier. And there's another thing Saturday. And it's just kind of interesting. It's almost like, I don't know. I'm kind of sad that she has to film this and have a show. It's like, I guess, just go back to your roots. But I feel like she went away. Even though she didn't go away, she made so much money. She traveled the world being a DJ. She had 29,000 fragrances. She had a bunch of weird clothes that Japanese kids would buy. She made so much money. But now I just feel like now she's back televising her love and her wedding and her life. And it's kind of just like, why? You obviously have enough money, and then it just goes back to your roots. I like that reality show life. I like that attention, So, okay. So it should be really fun. Wish I was invited. I noticed this photo. I follow Gretchen Rossi. I've had dinner with Gretchen. She is very nice and pleasant to be around. I've taken photos with Gretchen, and I've said, please, if you're going to zhuzh it up, please zhuzh me up and let me, do it. And I think that she has. But I noticed this one photo. She went to a birthday party. Happy birthday to a beautiful soul named Lindy Kennedy. And I looked at it, and I just immediately was drawn to her face. And then I realized, wait a minute. She just photoshopped her own face. Everybody else looks good, but she is glowing. She has a little white dot on her nose. The eyes, she has the eye thing where the eye sparkles. And but she didn't bother to make anybody else's eyes sparkle like that. Only her eyes are sparkling. And I just want to say, it's fine if you want to Photoshop every single one of your photos. But when you do a big group, either take the time to do everybody's face or just don't do the group photo at all. You cannot be this obvious because Heather McDowell of Juicy Scoop will fucking call you out. So listen, that's why I said when I've taken photos with her, I'm like, do what you do to yourself, do to me, sister. I don't know how to do that stuff. So when I find somebody that does, I'm like, yeah, I want to be in the photo, but you better not leave me with 2 shades, less white teeth than you and a non-sparkly eye. What the hell? Okay, this was a great thing that happened. A missing 16-year-old girl from North Carolina was rescued thanks to SOS hand gestures that she learned on TikTok. On Thursday, a 61-year-old James Brick was arrested after someone driving behind him called 911 after observing a girl inside his vehicle making hand gestures that are known on the social media platform to represent violence at home. And it's, I need help. And this is it. It's you put your palm out to who you want to see it, and you put your thumb in, and then you fold the four fingers around the thumb. So it's like this. So, that's what you would do. And I think that is so amazing. So definitely look for that stuff. And you know what's interesting about all this, about checking sex trafficking is I just saw something on our local news that, and it was, this woman's horrified. She's angry. She was stopped, I think, maybe on a flight or somewhere. Them questioned about, was she possibly sex trafficking her daughter? And she was a white woman, like in her 40s, and the daughter appeared to be somewhat of a mixed race. I'm not exactly sure, but definitely, not completely Caucasian. Very cute girl. And so now I guess she's going to file a lawsuit or whatever saying that, we were inconvenienced for an hour when questioned if I was sex trafficking my own daughter because she's not white. I understand, lady, that was an unpleasant 1 hour for you. But I'm going to tell you what I said to my brother-in-law. So a couple years ago, we were flying to, we were going on this cruise. And my brother-in-law has been married to his wife for like 5 years. She is Filipino, and she's very petite, and she looks very young. And they were on the plane, and they were landing, going from Vegas to Houston. And my understanding is Houston is a hub for sex trafficking. And the flight attendant came down, and she had told him, just tell them I want a Diet Coke when they come. Just, I'm going to close my eyes for a minute. And so the flight attendant came, and she's like, what can I get you? And my brother-in-law said, I'll have a Coke, and she'll have a Diet Coke. And she's like, I need her to speak for herself. And so she did, but it was their understanding as a couple that this flight attendant was wondering if maybe my brother-in-law had sex trafficked a young girl but it was in fact his wife. And they were like, I mean, that is racial profiling. That is this, that is that. And here's the thing. It's like, you can't have it both ways. Do we want to be in a society of see something, say something? Or do we want to be in a society of you can't offend anyone? Because if we don't offend anybody, if that's the bigger crime, possibly hurting someone's feelings, possibly questioning something and then finding out, oh, well, thank goodness. I'm glad you're a couple in love. I'm glad she's, a woman in her 30s. She looks really young. But I am a flight attendant who, works my ass off, and I've been trained how to detect sex trafficking. If I have any question in my mind, I'm going to follow the protocol to make sure that I did not just ignore it and have something worse happen. So if some indication of something going on with this other woman and her daughter alerted these people that work really hard, that don't make a lot of money, that we need to work in our society, to have asked some questions, so what? So what? So what? Like, yeah, you know what? If your child possibly doesn't look like you, this is something that's going to occasionally happen. Someone's going to assume that you might be the nanny, or, you hear that all the time. I joked that, I'll take the joke, but I don't know. Sometimes I look young. Maybe they're going to think I'm my son's girlfriend. That could be really offensive to my son. That could be really traumatic and awful to my son. I can't help it. No, obviously I'm joking, but I just think we can't just be hard on these people. We want the thing is to protect people. And if you're questioned and then you're let go, I don't think you can be filing lawsuits. And, same thing with being patted down or whatever at the airport. Like, this is life. We're all going to be inconvenienced. We're all going to have to be questioned. And I'm on that side. So, speaking of, this was a weird story. It reminded me of the people locked in the closet when Justin and I were in Seattle. A naked man, 39, is rescued after being trapped inside the wall of a historic upstate New York theater for days. Granted, I was just in New York. Kind of weird. I was actually here during this time. I don't know if you thought maybe I was going to be there. And it was a sold-out show, which is why you guys need to get your tickets now. I'll be in Boston this weekend. There are tickets available for the Friday and Saturday show at the City Winery. That's November 12th and 13th. And then I'll be in Atlanta with Julie Goldman. And there are tickets for both of those shows. That is November 19th. So that's at heathermcdonald.net. But this guy obviously wanted to see a show for free. And he was rescued by firefighters after being trapped inside the walls of a historic theater in upstate New York. And they got the call at 7:30 that a person was trapped inside the walls. And they think that he might have gained entry like on Tuesday or Wednesday. Now, they drilled a hole into the wall to make space for the camera so that they could determine exactly where his location was to extricate him. But when they found him in the crawl space, he had hid 2 days before, and then he fell in the wall in the men's restroom where he became trapped. We do not know why he was naked. I don't know if he took off his clothes because it was like,
How could there have been space?
like to get, I think he had to have gone in the wall naked. I'm thinking we're going to find out he's just a crazy person. He was not a juicy scooper. He was not confused that Heather was performing there. I think he was just a crazy person that heard voices and he was like, I'm an actor or something. And then he got in there and he was naked and then he got trapped. But my question is, how did they know he was there? Someone heard him?
Well, he was hiding, and then he fell and ended up in the wall and was like,
Oh, he was hiding in the theater. He wasn't hiding inside the wall?
no.
He was hiding in the theater. How did he fall in the wall, though?
The article didn't say.
Anyway, again, people, don't listen. This happens when people don't get their meet and greets in time at a Juicy Scoop show. They're like, how can I get a hold of Heather? Don't get naked. Don't hide in the wall 2 days before I come. I mean, it's honestly not worth it. Like, some people say you've changed my life, and I can't believe I'm meeting you. I hid in a wall naked for 2 days to come see you, and I'd say it was not worth it. Absolutely not worth it. There is a new series, a reality show, searching for single individuals looking to mate, but not necessarily married. Have you ever considered co-parenting without the possibility of romance? A major streaming platform is searching for single individuals in Southern California to document their unconventional journey to parenthood. I think that this is just an awful idea. I mean, talk about exploiting your child. Now, you're literally having a child to get on a show. You are like, I mean, it's one thing, Married at First Sight. It's another 90 Day Fiancé to come to live in America. You screw someone ugly because you want to be American. It's another thing to hide in a wall to go see a Juicy Scoop show. But to actually like create a baby and then what? Then they're going to follow you like the Truman Show for the rest of your life? Like, fucking, can anyone just get a regular job? Can anybody just go, like that doesn't involve just documenting every second of your life? I think this is an awful idea. And I think it's a little bit too grossly playing God. I'll be honest with it, but I'll probably watch it. Okay. This girl, this went viral. She was on a TMZ, caught this, but it was their story. A fired Amazon driver. So the Amazon driver was fired because there's a viral video of a woman coming out of his Amazon Prime van, and she's definitely wearing like a black walk as a shame morning after little dress. So it definitely looked like she was in there screwing him. But what did we find out? Could it have been that she was sleeping there after seeing a Heather McDonald Juicy Scoop show? Because she looks like she's
not naked, though.
She's not naked, but anyway, they fired him because they definitely thought they were fucking. I mean, that is kind of gross, using packages and stuff. And with the holidays around the corner, obviously you can join Patreon to give yourself a treat. You can also buy a Patreon subscription for your friend, whatever it is. Or you can buy a butt plug from Dakota Johnson. As you know, Dakota Johnson is the daughter of Dawn Johnson and Melanie Griffith. She is the star of the 50 Shades of Grey trilogy. I actually saw her at the Gucci fashion show. She's very pretty, and she is selling a new anal plug, and she says it's the perfect stocking stuffer. I really can't believe this is real. I just can't believe that she, like, of all the products, not a palette for blush, not a vibrator even like Demi Gelato, like not even, but a butt plug. And I don't use butt plugs. I don't know how a butt plug works or why that would be fun. I do think it fits inside of a stocking. And I guess you could just give it to anybody, guys and girls alike. Everyone's got an asshole. So give it to the asshole in your life. Merry Christmas, everybody. I'll see you at Boston. Like I said, all my shows, heathermcdonald.net, Patreon tomorrow, and got great shows coming up for the rest of the month. So have fun.